She kept looking right and left, her heart almost stopping from fear. You see nothing but this faint light emanating from far away. She automatically placed her hand on her chest, feeling her body. I don't understand what happened. What is this lonely place and where am I? She said it out loud. She's screaming so loud. How much she kept reciting the fortification verses that she knew by heart. She stopped when she found breaths of flame that almost burned her, but she could not see them. Where do you come from? She swallowed hard when she heard his voice saying, continue reciting it, for I adore your voice when you recite the Quran. She couldn't turn around while she felt him behind her, so she closed her eyes. Her eyes are strong. She says, where am I? Leave me, please. She still pressed her hand to her chest until he stopped growling in this way that will make her lose consciousness. Her breath. She became more and more upset until her voice became louder, which made him come closer to her and say, don't be afraid. My love, I can't hurt you. His voice became more intimate as he whispered to her, I have been torturing myself for many years, so that I cannot hold back my hurt. No one can catch me while I am alive. She told him, her voice trembling, her eyes still tightly closed. You are hurting me now. He exhaled distressedly as he said, now I admit to you that I adore you away from these intrusive men who do not understand or feel. I left your girlfriend when you said for me. Please, I cannot refuse your request. Then he continued before you spoke, as if he knew what you were going to say. Unless I walked away from you and left you so that I could touch a hair of yours, she said in a voice tinged with sadness. I promise I will not get married. But please let me go home and don't detain me. Here I am dying in fear of this darkness. He whispered in her ears again until her body shivered entire. Don't be afraid, my love. I have lit a lamp for you there. You see? She said to him desperately, her tears falling quickly. You won't leave me like this. He whispered again. I will not hate you for anything, and if I wanted to, I would have done it before. All I wanted was for you to feel for me. I would die seeing you. You do not know how much I adore you, and I stay next to you every night until you sleep, trying to break into your dreams, but I cannot. I even try to touch you, but I am afraid of hurting you. All I wished for was for you to know that there is a man among the masters of the Jinn who loves every cell in you and wishes to God that you would be mine and with me if you wanted. She opened her eyes in horror when she felt a hand shaking her, and she found that one of the sheikhs present was asleep on the floor, trying to wake her up, and one of them said, Thank God you have returned, my daughter. Are you okay? She looked around without understanding, saying, Where is Reem? He answered her, Don't worry, she is fine now, and does not remember anything of what happened. She stood up and said, Nothing, thank you. With her shoes away from her, she then threw herself on her bed, exhausted. She heard the sound of sharp breathing, so she exhaled forcefully while closing her eyes. With pain, she said, Who are you, and what you want? Some verses of the Quran until she calmed down a little, and continued with distress while crying. It happened, but her sister gave her a sedative so she could sleep a little. Where were you? What did the genie do to you? Then I left without any reaction. She kept thinking until she reached her house to go into her room and threw up, to the maximum extent. She felt the temperature of her body rising intensely, so she excused herself and continued to moan. I was starting to forget you and go on my way. What happened? Won't you come back to me again? The girl's voice came to her and said to her very kindly, I apologize for trouble you. I don't want to hurt you. I was looking for a friend of mine. I talked to her a little bit. By chance, I found you. Do you agree to be my friend? She sat up in her seat and said, Why did you choose me? To Set. The girl answered, I didn't know before today that I could be friends with anyone from humans. I always see you and I thought there was no someone who hears us or feels us. She felt that she wanted to talk to someone who would understand her, someone who would not be afraid of her, or look at her as a crazy person suffering from what's wrong. She sighed comfortably, saying, I feel that you and I are a nice girl. I agree to be friends. The girl rejoiced, saying, Okay, I will sit next to you. Tell me your story. Because until now I have not understood how you can feel me and hear me. She smiled as she looked at it, saying, This is a long story. Very much. Do you want to hear it? She answered with great enthusiasm. Sure, I want to hear it, Rohan said to her. Well, I will tell it to you, but before. So get out of the room until I change my clothes. The girl laughed out loud, saying, Okay, I'll go out. But you have to ask the rest to leave. She closed her eyes and gritted her teeth, saying, Okay. In the name of God. Then she started to take off her clothes and said, Will, do you see me now? The girl replied, Don't worry, nothing is visible from you. She sat on her bed and then felt a strong breeze. It was hot, so I knew she was sitting next to her. I looked in her direction. She said, Allow me to turn on the air conditioner, because I will die as a result. Hypothermia. The girl answered, Okay, here you go. We are in the depths of winter, so I sat down next to you to warm you up a little. Rohan smiled at her, while pointing with the remote control to the air conditioner to turn it on, saying, I appreciate your kindness, but my day was very hard, except that I did not sit with my friend. Has been with me from the other world for nearly 5 years. That's why my body temperature is high. The girl looked at her with red eyes and said, Tell me about your hard day. She giggled until she lay on her back, closing her eyes. She said, I will tell you from the beginning, but you have to first tell me your name. The girl stretched just like her and said, Okay, my name Emerald, and you? Rohan smiled as she said, My name is Rohan, and before you ask about its meaning, I will tell you that it is an Indian name for the unique flower. My mother is the one who gave me this name, the distinguished. To continue, she sighs. I am 22 years old. Today was my last exam in the final year of the College of Pharmacy. She groaned angrily as she said, but unfortunately for me, she didn't. He attended the exam because of a demon from the Jinn. She felt her bed shaking, so she realized that she was sitting. So she said to her, What is with you? Emerald furrowed her eyebrows and said, I didn't know you were in a relationship with us. She answered while she was still lying. I told you that I would tell. Let me tell you my story from the beginning. Emerald extended once again to compliment Rohan. When I was 5 years old, I could sit in my room happily. I play with my toys that my father bought me when he returned from his travel. I stopped playing and was terrified when I saw someone who looked like him. It was strange. I had never seen anything like it before. I ran to my mother. She's terrified to tell her and show her. Come, Mother. I want to show you something. Amira Mafi left her hand to go after her daughter. Look what scared her so much. Rohan pointed to the standing man in the corner of the room. He was smiling with long, dark red eyes, causing terror to spread through her limbs, so she buried her face in her mother's clothes as she shook and cried. Amira furrowed her eyebrows as she felt that something was wrong with her daughter. For a week ago, she had been screaming at night to the point that she no longer slept in her room, clinging to her every day. She slept next to her, hugging her tightly, and she continued to tremble until she fell asleep. No, I will not overlook this matter again. My mother held me in her arms and kept asking me, "What do you see?" "My love, tell me, don't be afraid." So I opened my eyes to look at him and found him staring at me angrily. So I understood that he did not want me to. He would turn away from me. I heard the sound of her laugh and continued. "I told you I was a child who was not yet 5 years old. Don't make fun of me." She stopped laughing and said, "Excuse me, don't be angry." But I couldn't help myself while imagining you giving it to him. "The sweet one stays away from you." "The sweet one stays away from you." Then she burst out laughing hysterically again until she stopped. She suddenly started laughing and said in an angry voice, "What brings you here?" Rohan quickly straightened up, trembling, saying, "With whom? You talk?" "Just a moment. We're not finished yet. Before leaving, do not forget to encourage us by subscribing to the channel, activating the bell button, and liking the video."